Aquarius, what is going on with you? Come on in, have a seat, make yourself comfortable. My name's Alan Hill from UnknownTruthTarot.com. Welcome back to another Aquarius love reading. Today we are going to take a look at the status of the love connection between you and your romantic person of interest. So let's get started and let's get one card for what's the mutual point of interest between Aquarius and their romantic person of interest here in October 2025, please. Let's get one card. Okay. Make sure nothing else flipped there. All right. What is going on with you, Aquarius? It has been a minute. Finally feeling a little bit better. I've been down with pretty big health problem for the past month plus, maybe 2 months, I think. What's going on with you? What's going on with Aquarius as it relates to their person of interest and the connection between the two of them? Where did you go? Okay, awesome. All right, what is going on with your person, Aquarius? What's going on with Aquarius's romantic person of interest as it relates to Aquarius and the connection between them in October 2025? We're not taking all of that. This one we're putting back. Let's see. We'll take one extra, but I'm not taking a whole pile. Let's see, what do we got? You, these two we'll take together. All right. Let's see here. On the bottom of the deck, the overall energy of this reading, Two of Pentacles. This is Capricorn energy. Twos are always choices or decisions of some kind. Excuse me. This would be a physical decision here, a choice between these two physical things where I can't really have both of them at the same time and I have to pick one, like yes or no, or do I or don't I, this one or that one. So it's this 1 foot in, 1 foot out kind of off balance energy where I can't quite make my mind up. It's about like weighing the options, looking at the pros and cons, trying to decide between two things. On the negative side, sometimes this can represent juggling two different people here. Don't necessarily have anything out here that would indicate that. So some sort of a physical choice here. I got King of Wands in the background behind that. This is Leo or sometimes Sagittarius energy. This is a bold, passionate, fiery, determined person who knows exactly what he wants. Usually doesn't take no for an answer. This is a very driven and motivated and determined kind of an energy. This is usually someone who's either going to find a way to get what they want or they're going to create a way to get what they want. Now, because it is the King of Wands and the wand is the phallic symbol of the deck, it's sexual energy, passion, desire, that kind of stuff. This is someone who's very driven and motivated in that regard as well sometimes. It could be just trying to decide between what is it that I actually want here, but I got the Empress in the background behind that, and this is the mother of the tarot deck. She's always pregnant, so she's always giving birth to something. In a relationship reading, she usually represents the birth of something new, as in the birth of a new relationship, or sometimes the rebirth of a relationship. I don't know that we're looking at rebirth here, but we might have to come back to this as we go along here, but this is looking like a choice between these two things, and I kind of want both of them, but then there's this birth of something new in the background. So we'll come back to that. That's the gist of what it looks like it's going to talk to me about so far. This mutual point of interest is shared energy that affects both of you in some way here in October 2025. It won't always affect you both exactly the same way. Sometimes they do this and you feel the consequences of it, or vice versa. Sometimes they say or do something and it makes you feel or act this way, or vice versa. Sometimes it's an external thing that's affecting you both. But we have the Magician as that shared energy here. And this is the Mac Daddy Master Manifester of the tarot deck. This is someone whose thoughts and actions shape the world around them to be in alignment with what their will desires. So a lot of times this ends up being like the person who their thoughts and actions have kind of created this situation here. So we'll take a look at this. What do we got going on with this Magician? Why is that the mutual point of interest between Aquarius and their romantic person of interest in October 2025? Okay, let's see. Trying to give me extra cards in every which way here. Underlying this Magician energy, Page of Cups. Pages are messengers and cups are about love and emotions. So this is news and messages and communications about love and emotions. can be lovey-dovey messages, expressing feelings. Sometimes this can represent an apology. This would be like the early stages of, talking about lovey-dovey stuff, not necessarily doing anything, taking action on it yet. In terms of pages, they're the lowest form of the court card. So this is usually not fully developed all the way kind of an energy. So that can be early stages of something, but can also represent someone who's not fully emotionally developed, not fully emotionally mature yet. Oh man, I got 3 of Swords right behind that. This is Libra energy of heartbreak and sadness, usually from a third energy. Now that third energy is not always a romantic third party, although it definitely can be. That third energy can be any number of things. For example, working too much can become that third energy that starts to cause a problem. Going to school can do that. Partying too much. Like any number of things can represent that third energy. But we have something that's not necessarily you, Aquarius, not necessarily your person, involved in some way here. I will admit this already is starting to look like someone's thoughts and actions and revolve around communicating lovey-dovey emotional type stuff, and we have some sort of a heartbreaking thing going on. And I got more communication here. 8 of Wands is Sagittarius energy. This is the second fastest moving energy in the deck. It's very fast forward movement or progress on something passion and desire related. It can represent travel. It can represent like rapid back and forth passionate communication, usually through the airwaves. It wouldn't necessarily be in person. This can also just represent a whole lot happening all at once, like it's too much, too fast, can't process it all. It usually can be something that feels pretty overwhelming here. Well, when I clarify the Magician, we get the Wheel of Fortune, 3 of Cups, Knight of Wands, 5 of Cups. The Wheel of Fortune. This is a change in luck and fortune. In terms of zodiac signs, this would represent the 4 fixed signs: Leo, Taurus, Aquarius, and Scorpio. This can represent, like, if things are going great, this would be that pivotal moment where the wheel spins the other way and it wraps around the telephone pole kind of unexpectedly. If things are already going bad, this could indicate someone is trying to turn the wheel the other way and correct course, try to put things back on track, get us straightened out here. It can also represent a repeating cycle of something happening again. It would be someone's thoughts and actions creating something. It changes things no matter how this goes. It's not looking good already. I got the 3 of Cups, which is Cancer energy. Now, this can represent being together and celebrating, or being reunited and celebrating, like getting back together. Can also represent a third party love triangle, because we have 3 cups of love in the picture here. That could easily be a thing that changes things, especially when you combine it with this Knight of Wands. This is Sagittarius energy. This is an action taker. It's someone who rushes forward very quickly and takes this rapid, passionate action on something that there's a lot of desire for. This oftentimes gets called the player of the tarot deck, because it can be that person who comes rushing in all passionately and tells you everything you want to hear to get what they want, but then they rush off somewhere else all passionately and tell them everything they want to hear to get what they want, and they kind of run back and forth between 2 people trying to play both sides of the fence. Can even represent someone who's not fully committed to what they say they want. In other words, at the very beginning, they say they want something and they're taking all the right actions, saying all the right things, and then suddenly they change their mind and go a different direction, and that might flip-flop back and forth. That goes pretty well in line with this 2 of Pentacles here, where I can't quite make up my mind on which of these 2 things I want. This could be someone who flip-flops back and forth between those 2 things. Also, because I've got this 3 of Cups here and the 2 of Pentacles, that can definitely represent juggling 2 people, especially when we got a King of Wands right behind that. Passion, desire, driven, and motivated kind of a person, birthing something new. Son of a gun, I didn't go deep enough. I got that Page of Cups here, which is still looking at me on the bottom of the deck. Lovey-dovey messages, communications about love and emotions. Even have an Ace of Wands right behind that. Again, the phallic symbol of the deck. Spark of some new passion or desire. Passionate new beginning even. Final clarifier for the Magician is the 5 of Cups. This is Scorpio energy of sadness and remorse about the past. It's thinking about the past. The the 3 cups here are spilled out, which can represent us being together, has now been spilled, meaning we're not together anymore. The 2 upright cups in the background can represent that I still feel this connection behind me. I just don't have it anymore. Now, from going along with this kind of an energy here, that 3 cups that are spilled can represent that we had a third party get involved, and that could be what spilled everything. That's probably why we got this heartbreak and sadness from a third energy here in the background. So this can represent that the third party spilled everything, and the 2 upright cups in the background behind this person can represent that there's another connection in the background. If that's the case, it's looking like someone's thoughts and actions have shaped this whole situation based on something like that. Now, I will freely admit to you at the beginning, it's not always that I understand exactly what this is telling me right away, although it looks pretty clear at this point. I will come back to this as I go through your energy, Aquarius, just so I can see how that applies to you. I will come back to it again as I go through your person's energy so I can see how it applies to them. But that's the shared energy. Your energy in this connection, the first card is the most important. You get the 10 of Cups. Central to your energy is the 2 of Swords. And your final card is the 8 of Pentacles. The 10 of Cups. This is Pisces energy. This is most people's goal in terms of love and emotions. Although it really shouldn't be the goal. The 9 of Cups should be the goal, but this is what most people think of. This is that happily ever after, happy fairy tale romance, happy fairy tale love connection that we all dream about. We all want this really bad, which is kind of the negative piece of this. This would be about being together, in love, fully in love with each other. We're both pouring ourselves into each other. It's equal give and take, fully in love. The negative piece, like I said, is that fairy tale aspect of it, because we all want this so badly. This card gets us in more trouble than any card in the deck as far as I'm concerned. This is where we will want this so badly that we'll ignore things like another person being involved, lovey-dovey communications, player activity, juggling. We'll kind of like sweep that shit under the rug, because if any of that stuff's true, this 10 of Cups can't be true. This is usually like an idealized point of view. In other words, I'm looking at this relationship for the way that I want it to be instead of the way it actually is. Let me clarify that and see what else it'll tell me about that. What's going on with this 10 of Cups, please? Why is that the first card for Aquarius in this connection? Yeah. Man. Underlying that 10 of Cups energy, Knight of Cups. Actions toward love and emotions. Moving forward with romantic offers, romantic gestures, trying to advance a cup of love in some way, trying to move forward romantically and taking actions on that. I saw that Page of Cups before, and I said that's not the stage of taking actions. That's more the stage of talking about it, communicating about it. Here's where the actions start happening. Page of Wands right behind that. Passionate messages, passionate communications, expressing interest, expressing desire. This is also the minor arcana version of the Fool. And, you know, the Fool will just take this blind leap of faith off the cliff and not have any idea how this is going to work or what the steps are. I'm just going for it and I'm leaping off the cliff. This is a more toned down version of that. This is someone who has the willingness to take the very first steps down a brand new path towards something passion, desire related. And that leads us to the 5 of Swords, which is Aquarius energy. 5s are conflict. This can be a big fight happening because of this kind of an activity. A lot of times this ends up being a betrayal happening. It can be someone who has this winning at all cost mentality. In other words, I'm going to get what I want, and if you happen to get hurt in the process of that, well, sorry about your luck, because I'm getting what I want. At its core, this is a mentally and psychologically painful situation or event taking place, most likely a betrayal based on what it's looking like. And then we got the Hanged Man after that. Progress being halted, no forward movement happening, things being stuck at a dead standstill. The Hanged Man, he's hanging upside down because he's trying to look at things from a different point of view than he normally would, a different perspective than he normally would. He's trying to figure out what has me stuck and what do I need to change in order to get unstuck so I can move forward the way I want. But the problem with that is things are external to us. So this would be someone who's focused on this external problem and probably an external solution to that problem. In other words, they're looking outside of themselves and not inside of themselves. So a lot of times this can be someone who's not looking at their role in the situation. They're playing the role of the helpless victim. Well, it's not my fault this happened. It's this other thing's fault, or this situation's fault, or maybe it's your fault that this happened. It's your fault that this is stuck. So it can be, like, the blame game, helpless victim mentality here could just be saying, hey, we've had this forward movement happening, passionate communications, advancing lovey-dovey stuff, and a betrayal, and now everything's stuck and not moving. That could be what's going on. When I clarify 10 of Cups, I get the Ace of Pentacles, the 2 of Cups, the Queen of Wands, and the Devil. The Ace of Pentacles is a new physical opportunity presenting itself. It's a physical, real-world, tangible opportunity, not an idea or a concept. It's something physical that I can touch. And the overall energy is someone who has 2 of these opportunities, and they have to choose between those 2. And it's like this one or that one. Next, we have the 2 of Cups, Cancer energy. This is an emotional connection between 2 people, but it is also a 2, which means it's a choice. So this can be a choice about the connection that you're in with this person. It can even be a choice between 2 different people here, especially when we have what looks like, happily ever after, or at least probably from your point of view might have felt that way. But then we get this new opportunity pop up, and now there's some choice going. Queen of Wands is next. Very similar to this King of Wands energy, we see 2 cards deep in the overall energy. In fact, they're counterparts in that passion and desire end of things here. This is usually someone who knows what she wants, and she isn't going to take no for an answer either. In the negative sense, this can be a drama queen. It can be that lady who's like, yeah, I see, ooh, he's hot, but somebody's like, yeah, but he's married. Well, it doesn't matter to her because she's going to go after what she wants anyway. Most of the time when I get this card for someone who's not a Leo or an Aries or a Sagittarius, it usually represents the other woman. It is the fire element queen. In other words, the hot queen, the one that there's passion and desire for, the one who would be attractive and sexy and charming and all that kind of fun to be around type of an energy here. Could be why we have a choice about a connection or a choice between 2 people. We've got this King of Wands, like that's passion, desire counterparts here. Not saying that can't be you, but the way this is looking in the shared energy and the way that it's looking already here in this first column of your cards, it does not appear to be you. Especially when I get the Devil with that. This is Capricorn's major arcana energy. This is usually heavy toxic energy. It can be obsession, addiction, a feeling of being trapped by something, feeling like I can't escape from it. It's an energy of control, but it's not the same as the Emperor. And like the Emperor is where I'm in control. I'm taking charge of something, and this is something else is in control, and I don't have any control of it. These are the same 2 people that are on the Lover's card, but here they've got chains around their neck. They've grown horns and tails because they're in this toxic, distorted energy for such a period of time that it starts to distort them. It starts to change who they are. This is really like an illusion kind of an energy here. And when it's clarifying the 10 of Cups, I can guarantee you that this isn't the real 10 of Cups. This is a very distorted version of it. Most of the time, when I have these 2 cards together, it looks like you've got the 10 of Cups, but in reality, this is what you have in the background. Could be an obsessive type of an energy about the 10 of Cups, an unhealthy attachment to that concept. This is not looking good. Central for your energy, we got the 2 of Swords, Libra energy of a decision that needs to be made, only it hasn't been made yet. The blindfold on this lady can represent, I don't have enough information available to me in order to make this decision, which is why I haven't made it yet. The blindfold can also represent blinders that someone has on. In other words, there's a piece of this that I don't want to see. I don't want to look at it. I don't want that to be true. So I'm avoiding it by keeping the blinders on intentionally. But avoiding that truth is preventing a decision from being made here. I see this a lot when someone believes that this person is the one, like they're my happily ever after, and there's stuff going on that shouldn't be going on, and I don't want that to be the case. I see that blindfold as the blinders a lot. Tell me about this Two of Swords, please. Why is that the central energy for Aquarius? Couple flipped upright in here. Let me make sure. Felt like there was another one in here somewhere. Where'd you go? Guess not. I'm feeling like there's one in here. Okay. Underlying this Two of Swords energy. Page of Cups. News and messages and communications about love and emotions. Lovey-dovey messages. Can also sometimes represent an apology, but a lot of times this is kind of like a deceptive energy. Like the fish in the cup is kind of like sleight of hand. I don't want you to look in my eyes because that's the window to the soul. You'll be able to feel what I'm up to. So instead I distract you and have you look over here at this thing so you can't really tell what's going on. Three of Swords, heartbreak and sadness from a third energy, more Libra energy. It's the same three cards in the same order, and you've seen me shuffle this at least twice since then. A lot of rapid back and forth passionate communication. Could be a whole lot happening all at once to where this is really overwhelming feeling. When I clarify the Two of Swords, I get the Eight of Cups, the Four of Wands, and the Six of Pentacles. Eight of Cups is Pisces energy. This is an energy of emotionally detaching and then physically detaching and walking away. The person in the card is walking away from 8 full cups of love because they think there's something better out there for them. This can represent your person thinking that the grass might be greener on the other side of the fence, and they got to go find out. So they're walking away from what they have with you to go down this brand new path to see if I can find my 9th and 10th cup somewhere else. If this is advice for you about a decision that you need to make but haven't made yet, what this is trying to tell you is that 8 cups is the best you're ever going to get in this spot. And if you want your 9th cup, your own personal happiness and wish fulfillment, if you want the real 10 of cups, you ain't going to find it here. And this is about recognizing that and then making the very difficult conscious decision to walk away from what you have to go down a brand new path to find your 9th and your 10th cup. That is connected directly to this new physical opportunity presenting itself, and then a detaching and walking away. That's really looking like them going off to see if the grass is greener on the other side. Four of Wands is next. This is Aries energy. This is stability. Fours represent stability. This would be of the home or stability of the family or stability of the connection between the two of you. This is also part of the story of manifesting. This is actually the final stage in that, where the thing that I want has actually appeared in front of me and it's stable here in the physical reality and I can celebrate its arrival. But there's this detaching and walking away from this stability is also here. And there's also a choice about your connection here tied to that, or even a choice between two different people tied to that. Final clarifier for that Two of Swords is the Six of Pentacles. This is Taurus energy. This is supposed to be an energy of balance and, maybe balancing something back out. This can represent you scratch my back and I scratch your back and we take care of each other, and this is equal give and take and a balanced connection. The negative side of this card is it can represent the merchant here, which would probably be your person giving to two people in the physical sense. Sitting right beside this fire element queen, this hot queen, this person that there's all this attraction and desire for. So far, I read these in columns and then I connect it in rows as I go along. So far, the only thing with nothing to connect with it is this devil card, this toxic energy. Just a gap in the information beside it, and what's right above the gap is someone giving to two people. Again, the overall energy can represent juggling. At the least, this is someone trying to decide between two physical things and got all this passion, desire, driven and motivated by same in the background. Final card for you, Aquarius, is the Eight of Pentacles. This is Virgo energy. This is an energy of work. We're putting in the work, time, effort, and energy on something to get what I want, or at the minimum, being willing to put that work in on something. Tell me about this Eight of Pentacles. Why is that the final card for Aquarius here in October 2025, please? And look at everything trying to get away from me all at once. That usually means there's like way too much going on under the surface. Probably why I keep seeing that Eight of Wands, where it's like it's too much, too fast, overwhelming. Let's get one more on this Eight of Pentacles, please. Why is that here? Underlying this Eight of Pentacles energy, there's that Eight of Wands I just mentioned again. Sagittarius energy, very fast movement, could be a lot of back and forth, passionate communication, can represent travel happening, but this is probably too much happening all at once. There's that Page of Cups again. We've seen this same two cards. Son of a bitch, there's that Three of Wands, or excuse me, Three of Swords in the background. Heartbreak and sadness from a third energy, lovey-dovey communications. All of this seems like it's happening really fast. This might be talking about that they were putting in work in that regard in the background. This is probably also you wanting to put the work in on this connection, or even like having, at the minimum, like having the willingness to work on this. When I look back at the shared energy, this could be that they have created this situation that I'm reading about through their thoughts and their actions. And this could be you trying to manifest and be able to keep this Ten of Cups alive, not wanting to see that the Ten of Cups isn't what you actually think it is, and still having the willingness to put the work and effort in on this, or maybe still juggling back and forth between, do I put the work in on this or not? When I clarify this Eight of Pentacles, I get Temperance, the Queen of Pentacles, and the Queen of Cups. Temperance is the Sagittarius major arcana card. This is a card of patience, still trying to maintain your patience and having the willingness to put the work in on this. This can represent reconciliation, because in tarot, water represents love, and here the love has been separated into two different cups, and she's recombining it back together. So this can indicate wanting to recombine this back together, wanting to put the work in on it. It's connected, though, to this emotionally detaching and walking away. Like, this is really a recalibration kind of an energy. This, when I get this, it usually means something is pretty seriously out of whack and it needs some readjusting to bring it back to being just right again. In that same row with that new physical opportunity presenting itself, which is kind of odd because I have two queens here in this column of energy. The Queen of Pentacles is Capricorn energy. This is usually wife type of an energy. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're legally married to this person, although it can mean that. This could represent that you're engaged to them, or that you live together, or like it's that kind of an energy. Centerpiece of the home and the family. I've got it sitting right beside stability of the home, stability of the family, stability of the connection, and then there's this connection that you feel here, but there is a choice about that connection. And this is probably the choice. I got the Queen of Cups. Even in this row, I've got two different queens, and in the center of it is the Merchant giving to two different people in the physical sense. And notice one of them is behind his back. This would be Cancer energy usually, but this would be the person that they're getting love and emotions from. This is probably you, or maybe this is you. Maybe they're married already. I'm not 100% sure. I got way too many queens out here. This is the only character that has a lid on her cup, though, and she does that as a way to protect her emotions from getting contaminated. She doesn't want anything getting in her emotions and messing her up. She's probably been hurt before. What she really wants to do, though, is take the lid off and pour her love into someone. She's just kind of guarded and hesitant, which rightfully so, because like in this row, I've got the Devil again, all by itself. Nothing to connect with it. Just the Merchant giving to two, and a void right below this person that they're getting love and emotions from. Feeling pretty heavy here, Aquarius. I'm going to scoot this over and get us some more room so we can take a look at your person's energy and see what the hell's going on with them. First card for them is the most important. We got the Wheel of Fortune. Central for their energy is Judgment. And their final card is the Nine of Wands and the Hermit. They came out together. Wheel of Fortune, we have already seen that here as the first clarifier in the shared energy. This is a change in the luck and fortune of something. It can be that pivotal moment where things took the turn into the telephone pole. This could also be an indicator that someone is trying to turn this around and correct course and put it back on track again. It can also just represent a repeating cycle of something happening. Now, as soon as I said that, it makes me look back over here, and I've got 3 different queens here. I've got something that's out of whack and needing recalibrated. I've got a blindfold on you, either meaning that you don't know the extent of what's happened, or you're trying to turn a blind eye to it and not look at it because you don't want that to be the case. But I've got this unhealthy attachment here, this something that's in control of not about being in control, but about something else being in control, something unhealthy here. I got 3 cups of love in the middle. I've got a player here, and I've got sadness and remorse and regrets because of the loss of the connection. Let's take a look at this Wheel of Fortune. Why is that the first card for Aquarius's romantic person of interest in October, please? Okay. Underlying this Wheel of Fortune energy, Page of Wands. Passionate messages, the willingness to take the very first steps on something passion and desire related. King of Wands right behind that. We saw that right below this idea of juggling 2 people, or this choice between these 2 physical things I can't have both of. Very driven and motivated by passion and desire and sexual energy. It's the pinnacle of that entire suit. Now, when I clarify the Wheel of Fortune, I get the Fool, the 5 of Pentacles, the 4 of Swords, and the 9 of Pentacles. The Fool is the first card of the entire major arcana. It's the first card of the whole tarot deck. It's about taking a blind leap of faith on something where I don't really know how this is going to work. I don't really know what the steps are or what the outcome is going to be. I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to leap off the cliff, and I will worry about it on my way down. I'll figure out how to grow wings on the way down. This can also represent foolish decision making, taking unnecessary risks, or even risks outside the connection. That could be the thing that changed everything. We got the passionate communications, being driven and motivated by passion, and just screw it, I'm going for it. And we get 5 of Pentacles, which is Taurus energy. 5s are conflict. This would be an abandonment. This would be being cast aside, being left out in the cold, discarded. This is a breakup kind of an energy. Next, we get the 4 of Swords, which is Libra energy. 4s are stability, and swords are about the thoughts or the mind. So this would be stabilizing the mind, stabilizing the thoughts, trying to calm down, take a rest, take a pause, take a break. I get this card a lot when somebody is doing a lot of thinking and they're thinking too much. And this is like instructions to just like, calm down, relax. You'll be able to figure it out when you quit thinking so much, because in this usually means you can't hear your intuition or your internal guidance because there's too much chatter in the mind. Now, I also get this a lot because sometimes when people have a breakup, they don't want to actually label it as we're broken up. Sometimes they'll say things like, well, we're just on a break, or we're taking a pause right now, which sometimes is what this card is indicating. There's actually a breakup, but maybe we're just calling it a pause. Then I get the 9 of Pentacles, which is Virgo energy. This is a step backwards from the 10 of Pentacles, which is most people's goal in the physical reality. It's that maximum stability and abundance and prosperity. It's the combining together of 2 people or 2 families, and combining lives together, building a life together. This is a step backwards from that. This is singles energy. This is about being physically independent. This doesn't always mean someone is single, although I do see breakup, and maybe we're on a break right now. And sometimes this is a person who is presenting themselves in the physical world as if they're single when they're not actually single, which is how you get into a third party scenario. That's how you end up juggling two different people. That's how you end up being a player and running back and forth between people. I've got two queens right here, another queen here, the merchant giving to two people. This is not looking good. It's looking like the thing that changed everything was them being foolish. And I don't know if they broke up with you and then told you, well, it's not official breakup, we're on a break, but during the break they're acting single. You'd be amazed at how many times I see this from guys where, well, you can't get mad at me for sleeping with her because we were on a break, and they feel completely justified when they're doing that sometimes. Central to your person's energy, Aquarius, we get Judgment, which is the most powerful decision card in the deck. This is about passing a final verdict and judgment on something, final decision on something. In a relationship, this is either calling it dead and over with and there is no coming back from it, or it can represent trying to resurrect it, trying to call it back from the grave, bring it back to life. Tell me what's going on with Judgment. Why is that the central energy for Aquarius' person of interest in October 2025, please? And you see how this works. When I shuffle, usually cards just shoot out everywhere. And this time I got one card flip face up in the deck and it didn't even come out. I had to go in and dig for it. It's like, that's usually an indicator someone's trying to hide something, trying to hold something in, not let it come out, trying to contain some piece of themselves here. Looks like they don't want to talk. They're going to make me work for it this time. Let's get one more, please. I'm not trusting this person. Underlying this Judgment energy, this calling it dead and over with or resurrecting it, I get the Hierophant. This is the Taurus Major Arcana card. It's the 5 of the Major Arcana card, 5 of the whole deck. This rules over the 5s of the 4 suits. We've already seen the 5 of Swords. We've seen the 5 of Cups in the shared energy. We've got the 5 of Pentacles right here in the first column of their cards connected to the Fool. This rules over those conflict cards, but this is a card of commitment. It's about taking things to the next level. In a relationship, this is usually a marriage card, or at the very least being fully committed to the relationship. So this is looking like calling the commitment here dead and over with. 8 of Wands in the background, Sagittarius energy. This is something that's happening really, really fast. Probably very overwhelming. Probably also a lot of passion and desire involved in this in the background. Page of Cups again. News messages, communications about love and emotions, lovey-dovey messages. And there's the other 5 that we hadn't seen so far, the 5 of Wands. This is Leo energy. This would be a conflict in desires. In other words, a piece of them wants you, another piece of them wants this new opportunity that they have, this hot queen that they found over here, and they're conflicted. They're playing tug of war inside themselves in terms of what they want. That goes perfectly with this 2 of Pentacles energy of like, which one do I take? I want this one or that one. I can't have them both. Goes perfectly with that Knight of Wands where I keep flip-flopping back and forth and I can't stay fully committed to what I already was committed to. Now when I clarify Judgment, the first clarifier, Ace of Wands, 4 of Pentacles, and the World. The Ace of Wands is the spark of some new passionate thing. Passionate new beginning, a new beginning in passion and desire. It's also the phallic symbol of the deck, so it represents the male you-know-what and using it to do you-know-what, sexual energy, all that fun stuff. It's tied directly to the Fool. So I got 2 new beginnings right here. Your very first clarifier is a new physical opportunity presenting itself, new beginning in that department. Next, I have the Four of Pentacles, which is Capricorn energy. This is usually holding on tightly to something and not wanting to let go of it. It is sitting right beside the Five of Pentacles, so you can see physically we're going backwards in the physical energy department. I've seen Queen of Pentacles, Four of Wands, the Hierophant, the Ten of Cups. Like, there's two cards that I'm missing that would make me say, okay, you're married. Like the King of Pentacles, I haven't seen yet. I also haven't seen the Ten of Pentacles. You don't need all of those cards to say somebody's married. I got enough of them out here to say if you're not married to them, you were in a heavy-duty commitment with them. That Ten of Pentacles that I referenced here, where we've combined lives together, like living together, being in the same place, like this is half of that energy. Like when you leave a marriage or even living together with somebody for an extended period, you don't take everything with you. You get half of it. You get your stuff and that's it. So this could be them regressing in the physical department, but not wanting to let go of anything, wanting to keep everything for themselves. Could also be that they're making their decision to end a commitment with you because they don't want to let go of this passionate new beginning, this sexual energy stuff that's happening here. The final card and the final clarifier for Judgment is the World. This is the final card of the major arcana. So I've got the Fool, the first card, and the World, the last card. This represents the completed cycle between the two of you. This is the full shebang from beginning to end. This is the ending of a cycle, and at the same time starting back over at the beginning with the Fool to go for a new lap on something else here. And even though this is twice now, 3 times here in their energy, I see something is ended, but it's sitting right beside pause, take a break. And single energy is the only thing over here that is not got anything to connect with it, which is the same thing that happened on your side. I have the Devil as the extra card and nothing showed up beside it in the middle column. And here I've got that acting single when I'm not kind of an energy over here with nothing to connect this idea of it's over and I'm starting the next thing. Final card for your person, Aquarius. We got 2. We got the Nine of Wands and the major arcana for Virgo, the Hermit. The Nine of Wands is Sagittarius energy. This is a defensive energy. It's like the person has been hurt. So it's also an energy of healing. It's the wounded warrior, and he's built this wall around himself as a way to protect himself so he doesn't get hurt anymore, so it doesn't get hurt again. Sometimes that wall can be the defense mechanism that I'm trying to not get hurt from something, so I'm hiding behind this wall. Sometimes that can just represent a barrier that's in the way. Could even be them putting the walls up to keep you out, especially when I've got the Hermit with that. This is a card of withdrawal and isolation, so they could be putting a barrier in the way so that you can't communicate with them. A lot of times I'll get this card when someone ghosts you abruptly, or communication shuts down and you can't get past their wall to communicate with them. I get this card a lot when someone leaves and doesn't give you any closure and now they're hiding behind something. Let me clarify that and see what else we can find out. Tell me about this Nine of Wands and the Hermit, please. This person, underlying that energy, King of Wands. Not the first time we're seeing it. Here it is, right there below this idea of a physical choice between two things I can't have both of. Again, this is the pinnacle of this wand suit. Very driven and motivated, but also driven and motivated by passion and desire and sexual energy. Got the Chariot right behind that. Fastest energy in the deck. At its core, this is about the underlying will to overcome the obstacle that's in my way, the problem or the challenge that's in my way. And it's about getting past that through willpower alone. There's an imbalance in the card. We've got a black sphinx and a white sphinx. That represents the shadow side of a person and the light side of a person. And because the driver has no reins to control this, he uses willpower alone to steer it. And this is really about if both sides of your person are not pulling in the same direction, it's not really going to move. Could also represent that they're pulling themselves in two different directions at the same time, which I'm feeling that with this. I saw that Five of Wands, an internal conflict. Sometimes this is just the energy of getting the hell out of Dodge really fast, which feeling that from that Hermit card, like not talking, not giving you any closure, not communicating about it. Yeah, the fastest knight in the deck right behind it, man. This is about rushing forward and taking this rapid, decisive action on something. Usually something that I haven't thought about first. This is usually like leaping before you look, like not thinking it through first, just taking this spur of the moment, impulsive action on something. And once I do that, then I think about it. But by then it's too late. When I clarify Nine of Wands and the Hermit, wow, I just realized that Nine of Wands and the Hermit is the 9 of the major arcana. I get this Knight of Cups, 7 of Swords, the Emperor, and the 6 of Swords. Knight of Cups, actions toward love and emotions, moving forward with romantic offers, romantic gestures, trying to advance a cup of love in some way. Notice the person is walking into the future. When it's laid on the table, they're going that direction away from your energy. There's the Fool taking the blind leap of faith, the phallic symbol of the deck, some passionate new beginning, and now I'm trying to advance on that. Next, I have the 7 of Swords, which is Aquarius energy. This is lying, cheating, deception, sneaking around behind your back, trying to get away with something they shouldn't be trying to get away with. It's connected to this idea of holding on tightly to something, but it's holding on tightly to the wand. Oh, maybe not wanting to lose any physical possessions that they have, because this can represent like a financial loss of some kind. Next clarifier we got is the Emperor. This is the Aries major arcana card. It is an energy of taking control, taking charge of a situation. This is someone who has all the tools and resources to put together a plan to get what they want and then execute that plan to get what they want, which looks like the way they're executing it is through deception. This is also the person who makes the rules. They call the shots. They set the boundaries on things. And we're clarifying this idea of putting up a wall, putting up a barrier in the way, maybe not communicating with you, maybe not giving you closure. Maybe they just straight ghosted you and just got the hell out of Dodge here with both of those really fast moving energies. Even have another energy that kind of supports that here with the 6 of Swords. This is more Aquarius energy. This is about moving forward into calmer waters. It's about leaving these rough, choppy waters of the past behind, moving away from something painful and moving forward into the future. At this stage, the 5 of Swords has already happened. We've seen it already. It's that mentally and psychologically painful situation or event or a betrayal. At this stage, that's already taken place, and you can't change something that's already happened. The only real power you have in this spot is in what you do moving forward. And this is about that implied choice of like, when I move forward, am I going to carry the burden that this painful thing caused forward with me so it keeps weighing me down and holding me back? Or am I going to learn something from that and carry that lesson forward with me so something like this doesn't happen again? But this is definitely a moving away from and moving forward into the future kind of an energy. So again, this last row here, I've got potentially acting single when I'm not, or at this stage it looks like being single physically. A gap in the information where we've got an ending to a cycle and at the same time the beginning of a next cycle right above that, and this idea of leaving it behind and moving forward. It's bringing me back to this central energy for you, the blindfold here. There's a decision that you need to make that you haven't made yet. I think there's an element to this that maybe you're not seeing, maybe because you don't want to, and it's the ending aspect of this. This has ended. There's a hole in the information, which means that you probably can't see that it's ended. Maybe they haven't, maybe the last thing you've heard from them is, well, we're on a break right now. I'm not sure. But what I do know is that they're moving forward some other direction. I've got three queens out here in your energy, and energy of something else being in control that you're not in control of. This could be their toxicity showing up over here. This could be having seen this King of Wands so many times, the Ace of Wands, the Knight of Wands, the King of Wands is right here underneath this overall energy again. A lot of times this is a person who has a sexual addiction, or at the very least that part of themselves controls them and they don't really have so much control over that, kind of like being guided by that, and they're not really in control of it. But when you have the Emperor energy in with that mix, this is probably a person who feels like they are absolutely in control of that. And if you don't think I am in control of it, well, you're just full of it. I don't think for a second that they're in control of it. I think maybe they controlled the situation and they decided whether or not I'm going to start this new thing when I shouldn't. They controlled the sneaking around aspect, and it looks like right now they're probably controlling whether or not you can even communicate with them or get anywhere with them. It's looking to me like their thoughts and actions are what created this whole scenario that I'm reading about. And it looks to me like there is another person involved that's not you. And I don't know whether you know that for a fact or not. Maybe because they haven't fully given you the information. Even if you do know it for a fact, it looks like maybe that you're not, that maybe you're still willing to put work and effort in on this, still trying to be patient, maybe wanting to blend it back together and recalibrate that. But this is not supposed to be a recalibration of the connection itself. This is looking like the connection has already ended, and this is about you dealing with the loss of it and figuring out what to do with these feelings that you still have. This is probably you trying to recalibrate your own emotions. And if you're going to be putting in any work and effort and energy on this, it's not to fix the connection as much as it is to recalibrate yourself.